Hey everybody, it's GombletX, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we'll be playing another premiere draft of Throne of Eldraine. Without further ado, let's get into the pack, which has several incredible places to go. We've got Scorching Dragonfire for cheap, flexible removal, 2 mana for instant speed, 3 damage removal that also exiles. Fantastic card. We've also got Trail of Crumbs, which is great in any food-centric decks. Sir Eleonora, great in any blue deck, being able to draw you a card just when she hits the board, and the rare in the pack, Fae of Wishes, being another solid blue card, letting us grab anything we need from our sideboard for 4 mana, and just being a 2 mana 1/4 flyer, which is pretty big for the mana cost. So I like all 4 of these cards a lot, and I think you could go with any of these as very solid pack 1 pick ones. I have been playing some red aggro stuff. I have played some green-black I have played some green-black food stuff, so I'm going to go with one of the blue cards here, and I think I'm actually going to go Sir Eleonora over the Fae of Wishes. I just really love creatures that can draw you an extra card when they hit the board. And pack 1, pick 2, we see an Ironcrag Pyromancer, so we know whoever's on our right is not interested in trying to play the blue-red draw 2 deck, and we've already got a great start to that deck with something that draws a card when she hits the board. So go for the Ironcrag Pyromancer. I have played the blue-red draw 2 deck already in this return trip, but if I get past the Pyromancer, that's as good a signal as any. There's also a Cauldron Familiar here, which is a decent sign for a food deck. So either way that I went this draft, I'd probably be heading in a direction I've already drafted before. I could have started with Trail of Crumbs and taken Cauldron Familiar here, or taken Sir Eleonora into Ironcrag Pyromancer, which is the way things are panning out for us. Oh, double Cauldron Familiar though. That's a bit of a bummer. And also there's nothing great for blue-red spells. Searing Barrage would be fine. Or not blue-red spells, blue-red draw 2. I mean, I don't think Steel Gaze Griffin's great in that archetype. It's fine. Arcanist's Owl can be good if you're really heavy into blue and you've got a lot of artifacts enchantments, but not generally the greatest thing for the blue-red archetype. I'm gonna get speculative here, and I'm gonna take a Cauldron Familiar. Even though I probably shouldn't, there's nothing really in that pack that I'd be excited to play in blue-red draw 2. And there's nothing in this pack I'd be excited to play in anything except Arcanist's Owl, which is good in blue-white. Again, really difficult to get this into blue-red draw 2, but we might be getting pushed off of that if we're not going to see any good blue or red cards generally. Frogify's fine, Steel Gaze Griffin's fine, but neither of those are cards I would say are good. Yeah, I mean, kind of weird after the Pyromancer gets passed to us, but this just means that the person directly to our right is not trying to be blue-red. The person directly to their right very well could be, and they're just cutting us off of everything. So pick 5 now. Although to be fair, there's also like 0 green cards in any of these packs, so again, could just be high variance in card quality, which I think this set has in droves. There are so many unplayable cards and then so many completely busted cards. As you can see, there's like Bartered Cow, Fortifying Provisions, Knight of the Keep, True Love's Kiss, Mistford River Turtle, Eye Collector, all of these being super narrow, borderline unplayable cards. And that's the best of those, and that's the vast majority of this pack. So take a Searing Barrage, but I think I'd rather take Charmed Sleep to go with Arcanist's Owl. Mystical Dispute would be quite nice as well, great instant speed card draw spell, but if we head in the blue-white direction, Charmed Sleep will be really nice. And that's probably the direction we're supposed to be, as we see another Charmed Sleep being the best card in this pack by a lot. This rare doesn't really do anything. Each player gains 5 and draws a card, so both players get the benefit, and then you're never going to have 5 colors among your permanents, 6 or more card types among your permanents and cards engraved. That's just never going to happen. You have to have all of that and be at a higher life total than you're starting. Super, super narrow. We'll take the Charmed Sleep here. Also, the Witching Well would have been fine too for the white-blue Arcanist's Owl deck. Alright, we can take a Mystical Dispute now. We're taking it over nothing that's better than it. Weaselback Redcap and Thrill of Possibility are both okay though. Especially Thrill of Possibility for the draw 2 deck. But I think we just get deep into blue for this Arcanist's Owl and maybe even try to push towards mono blue. and then just splash whatever secondary color we want. Just be very deep into blue, so I don't need to be on blue and white for the Arcanist's Owl. And the Scavengers should be good in a deck that's going to be making use of Arcanist's Owl, because we already want to draft a lot of artifacts and enchantments for that owl. So just having one on board will make this a pretty good deal. Expensive card, but a 4/5 that also bounces an opposing threat. Pretty great. So Tiny is an enchantment that we can have sitting on board and a card we can draw off of the Arcanist's Owl, although Heraldic Banner on blue could be good here if we end up just super deep into blue. It's also an artifact we can dig out with the owl. Actually take the banner over the Tiny. I don't know if that's right. That's probably wrong, but banner's more fun, more cool. Now we can take Unexplained Vision. We're already deep into blue, and this is a fantastic draw spell. Scry 3, draw 3. Technically you draw the 3 first, but still pretty good. Now we can take that Griffin. Now we can take that Griffin. Blue looks pretty open. Not that we're getting super high quality cards, but the blue cards that were in the packs are all coming back around to us. So I think just being super heavy in blue is the spot we want to be here. Maybe blue-black, maybe blue-red. Depends. If we find a Witch's Oven, we probably try to be blue-black. And if we find any more draw 2 nonsense, we probably try to be blue-red. And mostly we just want to take a bunch more good blue cards like a second Sir Eleonora or a Castle Vantress. Both of these are pretty great. Castle, not really usable till super late in the game, and Sir Eleonora is great upfront value. Run Away Together is another fantastic card. There's tons of good enter the battlefield effects in this format. And if you have any creatures that have adventures, you get to cast the adventure from your hand, then play the creature, then bounce the creature back to your hand with Run Away Together to get the adventure again, and you just go crazy with this thing. So I think that card is very good, but I do think Eleonora is better. I think it's the best of those. Okay, Corridor Monitor is fine. A really annoyingly large blocker, but Witch's Vengeance is disgusting. Depending on what your opponent has on board, sometimes this can be a 2 or 3 for 1, killing 2 or 3 of their creatures, but it's almost always going to at least kill one of their creatures, so maybe we do take Witch's Vengeance and head towards blue-black now. Okay, Unexplained Vision and Witching Well are decent, but we should wheel one of those two based on how the first pack went. We could take Shambling Suit for blue-white artifacts enchantments, or Fabled Passage for fixing no matter what our deck ends up being, and I think we take the Passage as the more flexible card. Pack 2, pick 4 is pretty bad. I guess this is a 4-mana 3/3 flyer basically every time for our deck, which isn't horrible. That's kind of the only thing even worth mentioning. Outside of Wildwood Tracker, this is a great aggro card, just a 1-mana 2/2. Good grief. How is our creature curve on blue? I guess I only have one 4-drop right now, so we take the Paladin. Oh, I also don't have any 3-mana creatures. We don't really have a creature curve in mono blue right now. So maybe it's Queen of Ice. I don't know, we'll just take another flyer. Okay, Gingerbrute. Beanstalk Giant is the best card in this pack. By a lot. And I'm not tied to any secondary color, and I don't have to be mono blue, so I could take it. But I could also just take Gingerbrute, which is great with Arcanist's Owl and gives us a cheap creature. Keeps going for the artifact enchantment deck vibes. I'm going to take the Beanstalk Giant, though. I think we'll at least be splashing a secondary color. Corridor Monitor's fine. That'll be our first 2-mana creature, so we should probably actually get something early on the curve. Spinning Wheel also would be fine. A third Sir Eleonora. See, I think blue-black, just blue in general is a good place to be here. I don't think I'm going to take a third. Well, I could just run 3 of them instead of any Steelgaze Griffins. Nah, Legend Rule starts getting a little concerning at the 3rd copy, so we'll just take a Golden Egg here, which can help splash into whatever secondary color we play. Alright, we find a Witching Well and an Opt here. I think I like the Well better if I'm not the draw 2 deck. We get the Runaway Together back. We get the Corridor Monitor back. multiple 2-mana 1/4s. We get the Well and the Unexplained Vision back. Am I literally the only blue drafter? I might be literally the only blue drafter. Kind of want to take Vision over Well. Draw 3, Scry 3 is just awesome. I feel like even though I'm the only blue drafter, blue just doesn't have a great curve of creatures. At least we don't. Yeah, I don't remember anything else I'm trying to wheel. So I really feel like pack 3 is just going to be anything we want to wheel, we'll probably get it back. $20 cards towards mono blue? I mean, I guess we go for it. There's not much stopping us. Just play a Roving Keep at the top end. Blue's gonna be this open. Blue's gonna be this open. Okay. Well, we did it. Blue was the most open color in the draft pod. We took a bunch of blue cards and then we opened the mono blue rare. So there you go. I'm not going to risk somebody drafting this for their collection. I'm just going to take it here. Triple blue and X, draw X cards, and every time we cast a blue spell, we tap a non-land permanent. And most of our deck is going to be blue spells. We will have some artifacts, but this card is still going to be phenomenal. Higher up on the curve. Like the Runaway Together a lot. With Gadwick, it's pretty busted. Put the Gadwick back in our hand so we can draw a bunch of cards again later. If I want to splash in a second color, we can splash in green with Okame Adversary and Beanstalk Giant being the splashes. But I guess we wheel the Runaway Together, so I shouldn't be taking that. I should be taking something that's not going to wheel, like Ginger Brute or Okame Adversary. I'll take the Ginger Brute. Let's just go all in. Full mono-colored here. Queen of Ice is fine. I'm not going to have a lot of mill if I do play blue-black, to where Drown in the Loch is just not going to be any good. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing good in a second color here. The best cards just don't work, because we don't have mill to go with Drown in the Loch, and we don't have food to go with Trail of Crumbs. The other best cards are like, what, Fairy Guidemother, sorta, Unicorn, sorta, just nothing good. We'll just take Queen of Ice. Okay, well, we found a good off-color card. I could take Didn't Say Please, but it might wheel. Dance of the Manse is kind of perfect, because we're drafting a lot of artifact creatures and some enchantments, and this just brings all of them back to the board. And if we spend 8 mana or more, we turn them all into 4/4s? Yeah, okay. So mono blue, tiny bit of a white splash for like Dance of the Manse nonsense. Take the Secret Keeper just as a 4 toughness 1-drop for a while. I'm already going to wheel like every copy of Runaway Together, so even just having 1 or 2 copies of Secret Keeper could also stack into a significant amount of mill. Now that we do see the first Secret Keeper in this draft pod, there's a second Secret Keeper. I think we just take all the Secret Keepers, wheel the Runaway Togethers, and just become mono blue mill. This is a criminally late Enchanted Carriage, by the way, but this is pack 3 where everybody's already decided their colors. Pack 1, I think this card should really disappear in the first 3 picks, because it's just so flexible, fits into any deck perfectly. I'm going to take Secret Keeper over Into the Story, by the way. But as you can see, there's so many good blue cards. There's Didn't Say Please, Into the Story, and Secret Keeper there. And boom, mono blue mill. We did it. Triple Secret Keeper in the last pack because no one else is touching blue. Now we can take Sage of the Falls, which helps dig through our deck to find Secret Keepers and Runaway Togethers to get the combo mill victory. Mystical Dispute for more counterspells. We start picking up all these Runaway Togethers to go with the Merfolk Secret Keepers so that we mill our opponent 4, then we bounce their creature and our Secret Keeper, then we mill them 4 again, then we bounce their creature and our Secret Keeper. We mill them 4 again. This deck is gonna be silly. I don't know if it's gonna be silly in a good way or a bad way yet, but we'll find out. Hopefully in a good way. Hopefully we just crush some souls. Didn't Say Please. Pick 12. Excellent inclusion. Actually not wheeling the other Runaway Togethers. I think there were I think there was at least one other copy that we would have gotten back at this point, but we didn't actually wheel it, so that's a little bit rough. I would have loved having 3 in here. Oh my god. Last pick of the entire draft is an Into the Story, which if we do a Secret Keeper and it's late in the game, or we do 2 Secret Keepers at any point, is just 4 mana instant speed draw 4, which is nuts. Well, we're in the right color. Maybe we should have been in a secondary color. If I took that Drown in the Loch more highly, we could have been Blue-Black Witch's Vengeance, Drown in the Loch Mill, because we found triple Secret Keeper in the last pack, because no one took any of them. So we could have been maybe that direction, or just blue-green ramp stuff, again with Beanstalk Giant, Oakham Adversary, that kind of stuff. Or fully blue-white artifacts with this Dance of the Manse. But I've still got the Golden Egg for that. I can just play like 2 planes or something and still play around with this. And I don't even think I need to because the deck is so strong even without it, but I still will, I think. I think it'll be worth it with a high enough artifact enchantment count. But yeah, what a place to be in this draft pod. So we are at 51 cards. We get to cut 11 cards of our choice here, and we're definitely going to be a slower, grindier, more controlling deck here, with multiple counterspells, some Charmed Sleep style cards, Run Away Together to slow things down, and Mill as a definite possible win condition. So I think we can definitely cut really low on the creature count. So we'll start by cutting our most mediocre creatures, like the 7 mana Roving Keeps. This is just not how we want to be trying to win the game. Just getting 1-for-1 by a bake into a pie to stop our win condition. We can try to grind it out with Mill over that pretty easily. Also, the 4 Steel Gaze Griffin, pretty similar, just big late game stuff. We've got a lot of 5-drops, all of which I would consider better. Definitely the double Sir Eleonora. And the Sage as well, helping dig through the deck a little bit. Although the Sage might not be great in here because we're going to have a lower creature count, so it's not going to trigger super often. And we don't have a lot of cards that are going to care about drawing a second card during our turn. But I can still try to find the Secret Keepers and find the Runaway Togethers for them. So I'm not going to insta-cut that. I will insta-cut the Vantress Paladin. It's just a significantly worse version of Arcanist's Owl. And then, didn't put Dispute over there yet. Queen of Ice, pretty slow and dirtily, but it can slow our opponents down. I think I'll still cut the Queen of Ice here. But keep the random artifact creature dorks to up the likelihood of Arcanist's Owl getting us the draw 2. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 artifacts / 8 artifacts / enchantments maybe. That's about 1 in 5. This looks 4 cards deep. We could definitely miss, but hopefully we don't too often. Let's cut some non-creature cards now. We double read the Dance of the Manse. It might not be worth the splash. I don't think I cut any artifacts or enchantments. I guess I cut the Roving Keeps, but they're 7 mana. I wouldn't really count that. So we cut very few artifacts and enchantments, but we're still down to 9 total, 1 out of every 4 cards. Up to X artifacts and enchantments. Non-aura enchantments, so the Charmed Sleep don't count. So that's 2 less, so 7 total that we can use Dance of the Manse on. Mana value X or less. So if I spend 6 mana on Dance of the Manse, I can bring back every artifact and enchantment in my graveyard. I can bring back Golden Egg plus Arcanist's Owl plus Gingerbrute plus Quarter Monitor because they all have mana value X or less. It'd all be 4 or less individually. It doesn't say total mana value. This is still probably worth it, but it's kind of borderline, judging by the artifact enchantment count. Plus, I kind of want to cut the banner because I don't really need the ramp, and I'm not going to have enough creatures out to profit much off of the +1/+0. So I don't think our artifact enchantment count is great for this Dance of the Manse. But I've got other stuff I think I can cut first, like Sage of the Falls. Although, what do I cut now? I guess we have 2 Eleanor to draw a card, Arcanist's Owl draws a card, Gadwick draws a bunch of cards, Into the Story draws 4. We can cut one of our Unexplained Visions. Draw 3, scry 3 there. And then call it a deck like that. I think that's pretty reasonable. And then we still get to try playing around with Dance of the Manse. Hopefully it works well, but maybe the deck would be better mono blue. I could see that. But we're going to run it in here. Should be pretty fun. But definitely going for some Merfolk Secret Keeper Runaway Together nonsense with tons of card draw to stay ahead in card advantage, tons of great counters. Charmed Sleeps to nullify anything that stays on the board resolved. Runaway Togethers to slow down damage. But yeah, I think I'll call it a deck there. Alright, here's a final look at our deck list for today, which is basically a mono blue mill control deck. We are definitely the villains today. One of our main win conditions is our 3 copies of Merfolk Secret Keeper, alongside 2 Runaway Togethers to bounce them back while slowing our opponent down a little bit. So that's going to be super annoying for our opponents and pretty busted. We also have Didn't Say Please to add to that mill, and a bunch of other cards that can do some really nice card advantage plays. Sir Eleonora's draws some additional cards. Arcanist's Owl can find an artifact or enchantment from the top 4. Into the Story's a draw 4. Unexplained Vision's a draw 3. Witching Well's a draw 2. We've got all that card advantage going on to stay ahead and make sure that when we're trading counter spells 1 for 1 into their threats, or Charmed Sleeps 1 for 1 into their threats, we are staying ahead in card advantage and using that to stay ahead in the game in general. We've also got Gadwick being a pretty big bomb, letting us draw a ton of cards and slow our opponent down, tapping their stuff whenever we cast any blue spells. We've also got Moonlit Scavengers for another great annoying way to bounce an opponent's threat. And the splashed in Dance of the Manse, which is here to maybe pop off with a lot of value. Late in the game, if we've got like an Owl and a Golden Egg Engrave, then boom, reanimate both of those, get a nice little draw to. Maybe we just have a Witching Well and a Gingerbrute Engrave. Basically, if we have at least 2 things in our graveyard that are artifacts, then this will be pretty good value. The one thing I don't like about this is it can't pick up our Charmed Sleeps, so there aren't actually too many targets for it, so it might not be worth the splash, but it is cool enough and fun enough to play it in here anyway. So that is today's deck. It's going to be a super sweet one. Hopefully it plays out as well in the gameplay as it does in my head, but without further ado, we will see how it officially does as we head into the gameplay. Here we are for game 1. We've got a Gingerbrute nice and early and some counter spells to hold up later. So we'll just drop a Gingerbrute and get in there with our little cookie monster. Alright, let's probably jam out a Golden Egg here. Try to find something better than a quarter monitor for the future. Brazen Borrower, well, that's an incredible mythic. 2 mana, bounce anything on board, and then for 3 mana they get a 3/1 flyer out, but they're going to play a Tome Raider instead, so we're not going to be under any life total pressure immediately. Going to be taking our 1 damage a turn for a little while. It's going to be a really obvious Didn't Say Please, but I could also just hold up a Mystical Dispute by playing Gingerbrute, because Mystical Dispute just costs 1 mana instead of 3. I might not see it coming. Tome Raider, you know what? That's annoying enough. I'll dispute that. Get that mana investment out of the way. And there's their Merfolk Secret Keeper. Mill us for it. Oh, they milled our Dance of the Manse, which would have been incredible against them trying to mill us. Well, as we poke with Gingerbrute. If I Merfolk Secret Keeper, it's going to be really obvious I'm holding up Didn't Say Please. I kind of don't want to do that right now, but also if I quarter monitor. If I do nothing, then it's also obvious. Whatever. We'll just Secret Keeper them back and pass. Not like the 0/4 body does anything on board, so we're pretty free to hold up Didn't Say Please. Cast the Secret Keeper. Send in for 1. This is obnoxious. Why did the arena matchmaking have to do this to us? I guess this is our punishment for drafting the way we did. We just have to immediately play the mono blue mirror match, where we both have secret keepers and all kinds of nonsense. There's the brazen bar, where I think I have to counter that to not die to just flying damage. Oh, please tell me they don't have dispute too. Okay, they don't have dispute at least. But now they could have their own runaway together. Mill me more. Alright, unexplained vision's a big deal. Big card draw for our opponent. They're literally just the same deck. They got Arcanist Towel. They're the same deck, but with a Mythic, so it's probably bad for us. Overall. Well, oh my god, they milled one of our Runaway Togethers and one of our Secret Keepers, so now, even though we probably have just as many Secret Keepers as them, because they milled ours, we will have less mill than them. But they've drawn enough cards, they're still milling out first. For now. Just tap out for this while they're tapped out. Drop the Secret Keeper. Run away together while we're tapped out. Yeah, I don't have any more counter spells, not much I can do here. Feel like this is game. Yeah, there's the Sanctuary for the runaway together. That's going to be another mill 8. I have no counters right now. Alright, I'm moving on. Alright, here we are on the play for game 2. Just gonna get a golden egg out here and draw some cards. Get some setup early. Opponent's very aggro. Start with a 1-mana 2/1. Not a lot of those in the set. That actually might be the only one. So, literally the most aggressive start possible. Okay, they could have had 3 in the opening hand, but that is still really bad for us. I guess now I get to hold up Mystical Dispute. Or I could eat my egg. And a Flutter Fox, well, kind of have to just counter it and stop some damage here. While I have that mana up. Grab our 1 white source just in case. But now we're just going to eat our golden egg. And pass the turn there. Twin Veil Treefolk. Oh, a runaway together would have been so good if I had any creatures on board, because if you bounce it in response to them trying to put an adventure on it, then it just kills the Treefolk entirely. Would have been so good. So that is a huge bummer that we didn't have just any Gingerbread or Quarter Monitor early here to do that. Alright, Moonlit Scavenger's pretty great here. We find an artifact or enchantment to get on the board. Hold them down with that. Alright, there's the combat trick to kill Sir Eleonora, but we still kill the Venerable Knight at least. Drawn to a Merfolk Secret Keeper. Pretty perfect, because that gives us something to bounce with our runaway together. Which was pretty important. Or I could just chump and cast Into the Story, but I think it's better to run away together the Venerable Knight, because it's got 3 counters on it. So we bounce the Knight to cast the Treefolk here. Probably the course of action. You know, they cast Twin Veil Treefolk, get a 6/5 down. No, they're going to cast an Occam Adversary and Venerable Knight instead. We do find the Quarter Monitor for the Moonlit Scavengers. But it's going to cost me 2 mana here. probably should have just mulliganed this game. This hand's been way too slow. I don't think there's a whole lot I can do now. Neither of these creatures trade with any. I guess the 1/4 trades in the night. I mean, hold up the blocker to trade into the night and into the story, maybe? That's probably the play. We let them draw a card off Occam Adversary. We'll still be a little ahead. Why do they have a Merfolk Secret Keeper? That's revealed? I'm confused. When did that happen? Forever Young? They put a Secret Keeper back on top or something? Actually, I have no idea what's going on with that Secret Keeper in their hand. I missed that whole thing. Okay, there's the Charmed Sleep and another Secret Keeper. They're at 21 cards. We've got a Dance of the Manse as well. That could really save us. We can get a Golden Egg and a Quarter Monitor back. So because the Quarter Monitor is still on the board, I can Moonlit Scavengers. This will bounce the Tree Folk and trade into Adversary. Although bouncing the Tree Folk means they get more counters, so I think I actually bounce the Adversary and double block the Tree Folk. Okay, it might have been a visual glitch, because the Merfolk Secret Keeper disappeared when I played mine. So did it think that they had my Merfolk Secret Keeper in their hand? Maybe it did. Okay, so replay the Adversary, play a land for turn, send in. They kill the Moonlit Scavengers. Play a Flutter Fox. Okay. Now we start sleeping some things down. Sleep on the Adversary. It should not have paid triple blue. Guess that doesn't come back to bite us though, because I can still double Secret Keeper, which I think is the play. Oh, we milled a Garruk? They've got a Garruk in there? Haven't beat a Garruk in this format yet. First time for everything. We milled it, so I guess that doesn't really count, but I'll take it. Okay, now we're stable enough to drop Unexplained Vision. Still only one artifact engraved. I don't think I'm dancing. This thing really needs to stop holding up my white mana. Didn't say please. A Ginger Brute is great. That'll gain us some life and be able to come back to the Dance of the Manse. I just scry these in the same order. But I get the initial investment out of the way for Witching Well, so I can get the draw 2 for cheaper later. And I can get that in the graveyard for the Dance of the Manse. Okay, that's not good. Big flyer here. We'll probably Charmed Sleep it, but actually I can just run away to gather it and then counter it with Charmed, or Didn't Say Please. And that mills them really fast. Down to 6. I hate this aspect of this format. I just kind of realized I'm not having a lot of fun. And I know my opponent is really not having fun right now. Which is weird, because there's some mill decks that I actually like. Like, mill as a concept can be pretty fun, pretty goofy to play around with. like mill decks in what, M14 or whatever I actually kind of liked. But they're just so annoying in this set. And I am just contributing to a problem right now. They have 2 cards in their deck. I could just gain life off of Gingerbread a couple times. Guarantee that I don't die. I don't have a counter spell to hold up, but I think I'd rather hold up the gain 3 life than play an owl. Because they're just locked out of this. They've got 1 card left. If they have another copy of Forever Young, then maybe they don't actually die. So they attack with everybody here. And we obviously just block and kill the Acolyte. I actually should have put the Corridor Monitor onto the Venerable Knight to kill that. Okay, they've got the combat trick to kill Sir Eleonora. Play the Silver Flame Squire. Gain a few points of life. They've got 1 card left. Well, nothing off the Arcanist's Owl. Got nothing to hold up, so... Actually, I can hold up the Ginger Root, so 1, 2, 6 mana, so 4. Oh, hey, Secret Keeper. Well, I guess that beats them through Forever Young, so we do that. Boop. And that is game. That is a mill victory for the mono blue nonsense. We are now 1-1 as we head into game 3. And here we go, on the play for game 3. Let's get this thing rolling. We got that late game Gadwick to go crazy. Just need to draw a couple lands here. Sir Eleanor is a 5-drop. That's pretty awkward if we don't start finding some lands, because that is quite expensive. There's an Order of Midnight, a 2/2 flyer that cannot block. Well, ask for lands and you shall not receive. Drop a Corridor Monitor and pass the turn. They've got 3 mana up, so they have curved out. With all of their land drops at least. And they've got an Acolyte to ramp up even more. And now we're 2 mana behind because of Acolyte. Could run away together just to soak up 1 point of their mana. I don't think that's worth it. But this is getting really bad. Yeah. Can run away together that at least. Soak up 5 of their mana. Think we have to. Oh my god, Witching Well, please. Well. It's a tap land. I think that's still better than going blind. I'm in pain. I think I'm only going to attack with Gingerbrute because if they have another land to play, they can still cast the Paladin without the Acolyte, and then I'm taking an extra 2 if I attack with Monitor. And they did have the land to play, so we stopped 2 damage by holding that back. Alright, and I just can't block Paladin at all, and I just couldn't hit any land drops, so I couldn't counter it in time, even with the bounce spell for it. And I can't counter that either. Alright, feels pretty over. I don't think this hand was too greedy. It was definitely a little bit greedy. But we got as punished as possible. Almost as punished as possible. I could have technically hit 0 lands all game. But instead I hit one, and now I'm just super dead. Yep, bummer. Not a lot to do here. I don't think we could have changed the outcome of this, and now we're just dead on board. They just attack with Paladin in Order of Midnight, and I have to sack Ginger Brute, which means I don't get to counter anything. Yeah, I can't hold up a counter spell, which was the sort of plan there, but then I'm dead. They draw an extra card off Keeper of Fables. Alright. 1 and 2 it is as we head into game number 5. Game number 4. Heading into game number 4. Here we are, back at it again, keeping the 2 landers. This one is definitely much better than the last one, though. Hate to see that we're against red aggro. That's not going to be good for me. But this is much better than our last keep because we've got the Secret Keeper, we've got Corridor Monitor, and Golden Egg. We've got 3 playable cards off of just these 2 lands. And they are mono red aggro. We've milled nothing but red cards and a quadruple red hybrid mana card. They could technically be red-black, but I doubt it. This is looking like mono red aggro. That's just going to curve out with as many creatures, get as much damage out as quickly as possible. Alright, turn 2, they stroll out with the 7 dwarves. Let's get our Corridor Monitor and start stopping some damage. And this will leave us with the ability to play Golden Egg plus Merfolk Secret Keeper next turn. Maybe a barge in to kill the Corridor Monitor or something. Nope, just trying to sneak in that damage. They do drop a red cap Raiders, which is a big problem. I think I need to Charmed Sleep that. Otherwise it attacks as a 4/3 trample, which can get through my Corridor Monitor or my Merfolk Secret Keeper. So we lock that down. Hopefully they don't do anything too egregious, and Arcanist's Owl is enough to get a stable board into drawing another card. Alright, we find the Fabled Passage for the Dance of the Manse. I already had a Golden Egg, I guess. But now, even if something weird happens to Golden Egg, we'll have Dance of the Manse up. And we're definitely going to play Arcanist's Owl because we've got that Dance of the Manse coming up. Completely miss. And there's the Dragonfire for the Owl, which exiles it, so it doesn't do anything with Dance of the Manse. There's the Rimrock Knight to kill the Corridor Monitor. Now they drop a 3/1 on board, and they have a 2/2, a 3/1, and a creature that can attack as a 5/1 if they play another land. And I have 1 Artifact Engrave. I can pick up the Golden Egg and the Corridor Monitor, but I'm going to try to wait till I can get them to be 4 drops, I think. So we just play Golden Egg to draw a card. Should be tapping that White Source. But auto-tapper, a little silly sometimes. Not gonna matter, we didn't hit anything that draws another card immediately, so we can still Witching Well here. Ginger Brute's a good one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need 8 mana to do the big Dance of the Manse. I think we're going for it here. Just try to survive till we have 8 mana and then pick up Golden Egg, Witching Well, Corridor Monitor, and Ginger Brute. I don't know if we will survive, though, because Joust means they hit for 10? Okay. I don't need the color fixing from Golden Egg, so I can gain some life off of Golden Egg and trade Ginger Brute into the red cap, since the red cap theoretically attacks as like 5 power here. And Crashing Drawbridge, so any creatures they draw into are going to have haste. And that's just incredible bad. I might have to just Dance of the Manse without making things 6/6s. 6. Yeah, I need to wait 2 more turns to do it, so I can't dance next turn. The only way I would be able to survive is if I hit like multiple creatures here, potentially. Dispute. One mana off. If I do it now, I have Quarter Monitor, Gingerbrute, Witching Well, and Golden Egg. So I can sack the egg, go to 7, and then I still have 5 mana up, so I can get 3 things that cost 3 or less. So I guess I'd only have 3 of those, so I pick up Monitor, Gingerbrute, and the egg. 1/4 blocker. I mean, I'm a little less likely to die, but not a ton. It's not like an excellent board state. I think it's worth holding off for a turn and just holding up a Mystical Dispute and hoping that's enough to not die here. Alright, Dispute the Trebuchet, and now we get to actually get a bunch of 4/4s. And we get all 4 cards instead of just 3 of them. Four 4/4s, draw some cards, and we can gain some life next turn. Scry into a Secret Keeper for another blocker and some mill. I'm going home. I don't like it here. I'm going home, Mom. Come pick me up. Well, 1 and 3 it shall be in a pretty devastating draft, but if there was any deck that I would have preferred to see go below average, it would be the mill deck. We were the villains today, and we let some heroes absolutely crush the mill strategies in the format, which does feel good and just a net a net positive for the world kind of thing. But it is rough. I think this deck on average does a lot better than 1 and 3. Definitely didn't build it perfectly, definitely didn't play it perfectly, but I think there was only one game that I could have made go any different, and that would have been game 2. Maybe I could have mulliganed and kept a hand that actually had more early game plays to not just get completely aggroed out there. But I don't think I could have changed anything really game 1 or game 3. Game 1 was just super rough RNG, where they drew into multiple Secret Keepers and Runaway Togethers, and milled multiple of ours, which means they were always going to win the long game there. And then game 3, it panned out correctly to where I should have held on to the Dance of the Manse, but either way I played it out, they draw into the Blow Your House Down and we lose. I mean, if I went for Dance of the Manse earlier, if I did it for the 3 cards instead of the 4 and didn't get 4/4s, then they can't attack in unless they blow our house down, in which case we have to eat the egg and the other thing. I'm pretty sure I still lose that game. Pretty sure. I'm not 100% confident, but without knowing that they had the blow your house down, I mean, they also could have just top decked it. But yeah, without knowing the future that they had blow your house down, I think it was panning out to be probably correct to do the Dance of the Manse at 8 mana. In most situations against most cards they could have, yeah, it dies to a Slaying Fire or Searing Blaze. Those would be the common ways for it to die. but Blow Your House Down isn't super duper popular. It's not like super duper high win rate on 17 lands or anything. It's not anything that's going to get scooped up super premium. But that's what I was worried about with the Dance the Man's play, is that we die to Slaying Fire or Searing Blaze, Searing Barrage, because those are a lot more popular. It is pretty funny to die to Blow Your House Down, so I guess we at least get some humor in the final draft of Throne of Eldraine, but that's going to do it. 1 and 3 with our Mono Blue Mill package. That is going to end today's draft, as well as ending the Throne of Eldraine Premier drafts as we have Arena Cube drafts just around the window, as well as Wilds of Eldraine flashback drafts. So some very cool stuff on the horizon. Stay tuned for that. But for today, that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for supporting the channel, as well as you for watching the videos. If you'd like to see some more videos like this, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link or the join button below. And other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.